Booker,
Yes.
I could barely watch the TV.
I
How do you sit in a room listening to that?
It was, in all seriousness, it was so frustrating to me
Yeah.
to hear the President of the United States stand up and say things that were so clearly lies, that have been independent news agency after independent news agency has said, this is a lie. It was like he was trafficking in the darker corners of Twitter and,
Yeah.
and dredging up completely misleading point after point after point. And so it's very painful to hear the President of the United States belittle our allies. The President of the United States threaten smaller nations. The President of the United States obscure the fact that his very budget, the numbers don't lie, that he's planning on taking away health care from millions of Americans. It is just a stunning display of misinformation and untruths.
I'm a U.S. history teacher first and foremost.
Yes.
And for me, hearing, the respect I have for the office, the respect I have for you, the work that you do, and all the senators and representatives, but then having to watching them clap for obvious lies.
Yes.
How is that? How do you think we can get any of them to come around, or are we just?
I hope so. We have
Yeah.
in the past, and I always believe in keeping doors open to redemption.
Yeah.
But the proof will be in what actions you take.
Yes.
Do you support a budget that takes from working Americans to give tax cuts for the billionaires? Will you support a budget that will ultimately raise prices on Americans and not lower them? Do you support a budget that ultimately is about expanding our budget deficit and putting our economy more in peril? And so there's a lot of really specific actions coming up. So this was some of the worst presidential rhetoric I have ever heard. He didn't even try to appeal to all of America.
Yeah.
He came in insulting senators and congresspeople in the room. He used it to try to, almost like a bully would, trying to litigate
Yeah.
past elections,
Yeah.
insulting past people. He didn't stand up and take responsibility or offer a unifying vision for our country. Instead, he demeaned, degraded, and downright disrespected people in that chamber.
Yeah.
And more than that, though, again,
Yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
to, for me, what do we stand for?
Yes. Yes.
And I just feel like this was a display of America is not about indivisible, one nation under
No,
God. It's
yeah.
a nation about beating up and bullying and demeaning and degrading.
And so for me, I'm going right back to my classroom, taking the train back tomorrow morning.
Oh, wow.
And all my students are going to want to talk about that.
Yes.
So what message do you have for young people, my students, people who are looking, who normally look up to our leaders? What is your message to them? How do we move forward from here?
Well, I think in many ways, I hope that in a strange way they take inspiration from this. That they see that what our nation is now, and they feel challenged in the same way that suffrage leaders did, in the same way that civil rights leaders did. They weren't going to become that. They were going to go higher and improve it and change it. We are at a point in our nation where we're too divided, we're too tribal. We have somebody in the office that is exhibiting the kind of behavior that you wouldn't want them to babysit your kid.
No,
yes.
no.
And so
Definitely not substitute my class.
No, definitely not substitute class. And so this is a call to the virtues and the moral courage of a younger generation to do a lot better.
I'm gonna play this message for them.
Thank you. No.
Thank you for sitting through that.
Are you kidding me? Thank you for giving me strength afterwards.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks so